If you're loving this podcast, be sure to check out our full lineup. From news and local politics to sports and true crime, find your next great listen right now at duluthnewstribune.com/podcasts. That's duluthnewstribune.com/podcasts.
Hello, Northlanders. It's Tuesday, June 20th. I'm Wyatt Buckner, the Duluth News Tribune Minute, presented by Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union.
The average MPECU member saves over $785 a year in better rates and lower fees. And with MPECU, every ATM is your ATM. With their free checking program, you get ATM fee reimbursements at any ATM anywhere in the U.S. Check out Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union's services online at mpecu.com or visit their offices in downtown Duluth, Arrowhead Road, or Miller Trunk Highway.
Now here's a look at today's headlines. Plans to replace the Blatnik Bridge got a healthy dose of funding from the Wisconsin Legislature's Joint Finance Committee. The committee authorized $352.8 million in general obligation bonding to be supported by the Transportation Fund. The committee also provided $47.2 million in segregated funds in the Major Interstate Bridge program in 2023 and 2024 for preliminary work to design the project, do utility work, and acquire rights-of-way necessary for construction. The Minnesota and Wisconsin Departments of Transportation are working jointly to design and plan the project to replace the bridge, with MnDOT serving as the lead agency. The Blatnik Bridge is a critical link between Superior and Duluth and serves about 33,000 vehicles per day that travel 1.5 miles over the St. Louis Bay. Originally constructed in 1961, it has exceeded its useful life. It has deteriorated to the extent that it now has a 40-ton weight limit and experiences regular disruptions and lane closures for inspections and maintenance. So far, planning has narrowed the range of alternatives to 2 possible bridge alignment options and 1 interchange option, and the DOTs have applied jointly for $883 million in federal funding through the Bridge Improvement Program created by the Infrastructure and Jobs Act in 2021. According to the Legislative Fiscal Bureau, the next phase of planning is the environmental assessment, which is required as part of the federal approval process. An Iron Range man has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for sexually abusing multiple young children. Robert John Coyle, 21, of McDavitt Township, received the guideline sentence from Judge Robert Friday last week in State District Court. Coyle in May pleaded guilty to first and second-degree criminal sexual conduct in separate cases, waiving his trial rights and agreeing to forego any motion for a departure from state guidelines. The St. Louis County Attorney's Office, meanwhile, dismissed another case that involved a third alleged victim. The 3 cases were brought against Coyle in October and November 2021, each alleging he had committed multiple acts against preteen children who were known to him. The judge last summer denied his motion to dismiss the claims, finding probable cause to support a total of 15 charges. Coyle remained in the St. Louis County Jail throughout the case. With credit for time served, he will be eligible for supervised release from prison in October 2029, after which he'll be subject to 10 years of conditional release. Now Dan Williamson joins us with a special guest.
Thanks, Wyatt. I'm joined by one of our colleagues, Duluth News Tribune arts and entertainment reporter Jay Gabler, and there's a story that Jay's working on for Wednesday's print edition of the Duluth News Tribune. It's also a story you can find online prior at duluthnewstribune.com. And Jay, you filled me in a little bit. This is about spending a day in Duluth from dawn to dusk. What more can you tell us?
That's right, Dan. Well, I thought this coming Wednesday is going to be the summer solstice, thus the longest day of the year, which is pretty long when you get this far north. You're looking at about 16 hours of daylight. And so I thought, what if I tried to make the most of a full summer day in Duluth? So this last Wednesday, I went out and I was out in Duluth at dawn when the sun rose all the way until the sun set just after 9 p.m. and wrote about it and shared photos in this week's feature.
So I imagine a lot can be accomplished. Maybe just a few highlights. What were you able to do in that period of time?
I tried to get as much in as I could, and these aren't necessarily the hidden gems of Duluth. I went for the things that you've heard about, have probably done, the tourists like to do, and I just tried to smash in as many of them as I could. I did a Vista cruise. I did the North Shore Scenic Railroad. I had lunch at Grandma's, although I didn't mention that in the piece. Delicious. And I climbed Anger Tower, So I did a lot of the greatest hits and had an amazing time smashing all that activity into 16 hours and talking with a lot of the people who I met along the way. I stopped to introduce myself and I said, what brings you out here to be enjoying this day in Duluth? So I learned a lot about the people who you will find in Duluth on a summer day.
Is there a particular takeaway that you had from this assignment?
I had a lot of takeaways. This was a very fun, very long, very exhausting day in the best way. It started at sunrise just after 5 a.m. I was out in the Duluth Ship Canal at sunrise, Dan. That's a thing that you can do. Zenith Adventures does these sunrise paddleboard tours. You get on your paddleboard prior to sunrise, and with some guides, you paddle out into the ship canal and just, out there between the lighthouses as the sun rose. You couldn't see a lot of sunrise on that particular day because there was some haze from the wildfire smoke, but it was still so cool to be out on the water right at the beginning of the day. I also really enjoyed talking to all the people I met throughout the day. It's one of the privileges of being a reporter is you can just go up to people and say, hey, here's the situation. I'm writing for the paper, and I wonder if you'd be interested in talking a little bit about what brings you out in Duluth today. I feel like for those of us who live in Duluth, there's a lot of people recognize a phenomenon where some of Duluth's natural wonders, there's something you become a little bit immune to when you live here because they become so routine. This was a really neat opportunity to be reminded that like anywhere you live, something can become routine after time. We are always surrounded in Duluth by people who are new to Duluth, who might be coming from another country, another state. I talked to people who are coming from as far away as Russia and Mongolia, who are out about enjoying Duluth and just absolutely delighted by it. So it's really an uplifting reminder that people are excited to have the opportunity to visit here. And we're just surrounded by people who are really loving everything that the Zenith City has to offer.
And I imagine that's a takeaway for our audience, too, that's, we live in a pretty cool place. And just when you think you've done it all here, there's more stuff to do.
Take an opportunity every once in a while to slow down and look around, just like Ferris Bueller said. I'm not advocating hooky, that you make that call yourself. But yeah, get out and about in Duluth. Enjoy these long summer days.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it, Jay. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Dan.
And again, you can find Jay's article in Wednesday's print edition of the Duluth News Tribune, as well as online prior at duluthnewstribune.com. Wyatt, back to you.
Thanks, Dan. Now here's a look at your forecast, brought from the News Tribune's Best of the Best Awards.
Good morning. The weather forecast for the greater Duluth Superior area for today. Sunny with a high right around 80 degrees. A few degrees warmer in northern Wisconsin. Southeast winds around 5 to 10 miles an hour. Tonight, clear and pleasant with temps dropping down into the middle 50s. Sunny and warm again tomorrow with a high in the lower 80s over most of the region. Second half of the week, Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend, there'll be some scattered showers. I'm Storm Tracker meteorologist John Wheeler.
Thank you to the Best of the Best Awards for their support. The contest is an annual celebration of the best the Northland has to offer when it comes to businesses and organizations that make the Northland a better place to live. Nominations are accepted until July 14th as the first part of the competition. Voting will take place August 7th to August 21st. Nominate your favorites today at duluthnewstribune.com. Reporting for today's episode was done by Shelley Nelson, Tom Olson, and Jay Gabler. Thank you for listening to the Duluth News Tribune Minute. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.